We are Billy Goat Tails. We love you, fam. Hashtag givers gang. 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 We are Billy Goat Tails. We are Billy Goat Tails.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Billy Goat Tales. We appreciate you stopping in, especially on Father's Day. So last week we killed it. We broke a record. We had over 700 live viewers, first time ever on Billy Goat Tales. Mostly those are ex folks, but today we got a packed show. Of course, we're going to be talking about the whole war situation. What does it mean for crypto? We also have some special guests today talking about a special project on the Cardano Block Chain, which is one of our favorite blockchains here at Billy Goat Tales. We're also going to be talking about a little bit of FUD with El Salvador. And we're also going to be talking about the great news with the Solana ETFs and more companies adopting the Bitcoin Treasury standard, public companies too, and a whole bunch more. We've got a whole bunch of other stuff. But first, let's go around the horn and say hello to the Billy Goat Tales team. What's going on, Jimmy Jim?
Happy Father's Day there, CryptoBilly.
You too, brother. You too. What's going on, Dave Digital? How are you today?
Oh man, doing good. Couldn't be better. Hoping that Bitcoin will play ball and give me a little bit lower, create that 1 hour bull div, and then maybe we can take it back up to 109. Let's see.
Let's see. And we got the Red Man in the house. What's going on, Red Man?
Thankful for another day now promised, and thank you for my dad coming through in the clutch. Back over to you, Billy.
Yeah, man. Speaking of family, Jimmy Jim, you want to say hello to everyone in the chat? Let's do some welcomes.
Sure. Let's see who all showed up here today. Well, of course, our regular Jesse and Mike Vollmer showed up. We've got JP Riggs. I don't know if that's a name I've seen before. Welcome. Alexandra G. Looks like she's off doing Father's Day stuff with the fam. Who else? Old rotten dude Taco Berry. I see he showed up in the chat.
Our mascot.
Our mascot. Who else we got in here? There's DDT showed up. Crypto Coin Mindset. We did a little bit with him this past week. Got another one coming up. And K Diggity. And I think that's about wrapping it up. I see Ada Ace and Pennywise popped in here.
All right,
all of you.
Hola, all set. Hola to everyone. Thank you for joining us, especially on Father's Day on Sunday too. All right, well, let's get right into it. You ready to do some crypto bubbles, Red Man?
Let's go. All right, let's look at the 1 hour. 1 hour is pretty red, except for we got a little bit of green. White is green. Nothing else too crazy. All right, let's look at the daily. Daily's got a bunch of greens. So, all right, we got Jito up 13%, showing a little bit of strength. Yeah, up 12% for the month. Good. If you're holding on to Jito, it's up 9 spots. Let's go Jito. And then Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash up 9% for the year. I'd say that's pretty good for Bitcoin Cash. Wouldn't you say, Billy?
Yeah.
We got Quant up 2%. FET making a little move. It looked like it dumped. Let's see here. We got Jupe up 4.4%. It looks like it's dumping right now. A little Bart Simpson pattern there. Let's see what else. Let's move on to the week. We got Kea. This coin showed a lot of promise. It looks like it's back into accumulation phase. but it's up 27 spots for the week. So congratulations if you're holding on to that coin. AB up 30%. Sky. I did a deep dive on this coin in our Discord. You can access that if you have a Billy Goat Tales NFT. There's the Reds research is in our Discord, and this is a maker coin that's been rebranded. So there's a whole top bottom analysis in our Discord. Hyper Liquid still showing strength, up 42.2% for the month. So Hyper Liquid having a good year. Let's go on to the month. Let's see, white 100%. Not really seeing anything out of the ordinary here. Say underperforming. Atom been underperforming. Renders getting delisted from Coinbase. I think it is getting delisted for the year. Let's see if we got anything crazy out here. Virtuals, man. You think it'll get back up to this? What do you think, Billy? You think it'll get back up to $4?
I mean, you listen to our friends over there at Sin City, man. They're David's really plugged into that virtual ecosystem, and
I'll tell you what, it's up 565 spots for the year. So congratulations if you're a virtual holder. Hopefully it gets back to that 460 mark for you. Other than that, Aave 220%. I'm not really seeing anything else. You guys see anything? Bitcoin's up 58% for the year. We know where Bitcoin's going. It's always going to show strength. So, not really seeing anything else. All right, back over to you, Billy.
All right, man. Well, normally Tony Tex-Mex Biomex does our coin our market cap update, but today I will do it real quick. So then we can get right into our guests. So let's hit that, Dave. All right. Yeah, you guys probably can't see this very well because I got so many screens opened up right now. So I apologize. But just real quick, what I wanted to hit was the fear and greed's down to 50. Jeff just went over a lot of the coins, but 50 fear and greed, and the market cap is 3.26. Keep in mind, in the heart of November of 21, at the peak, the market cap was 3 trillion. It's only 3.26 trillion right now. We got a lot of room to run, in my estimation. So, but really, Jeff, you did a great job hitting all of the coins. Don't need to beat that up too much more. Wanted to go over fear and greed. Altcoin season, 24 out of 100. Bitcoin dominance, still the main story. Still what's listen to Ben Cowan. The dominance is going to ring true. It's going to keep on going for a little bit. So everybody hold on. Hopefully you're buying Bitcoin, and hopefully you have some Bitcoin. And it's not altcoin season yet. Some people say altcoin season is not even going to happen. I'm not one of them. I particularly believe that we will have altcoin season, but that's just my DGen opinion. It's absolutely worthless. It's just going to be how I do my own investments. And real quick, did I see? Yeah, Vollmer, I see you, brother. With that said, Reliable J, hello, man. Thanks for popping in. We appreciate you. And I also saw Greg in there earlier too. Appreciate you. But with that said, let's do our special guest segment, Dave. We'll bring up A to Ace and Buck. We'll get into their project. What's going on? A to Ace and Buck. Good to see you guys.
What's going on?
Buck, you're on mute, bro.
Oh, yeah. You got to press the unmute button. Hey, first time for everything.
Yeah, man.
I'm just following OC's lead, man.
Shots fired.
Well, he has been a shining example for sure, man. Well, listen, we wanted to invite you guys on, big Cardano guys, part of the Billy Goat Tales family. Wanted to hear all about your project. So, Ace, why don't you start at the beginning, kind of lay it out, for us, and let's get into it, man. I'm excited to hear about what you guys got going on over there.
All right. So just first of all, just to let you know, Mecca is not my project. I actually am representing Hydrodrip, which is my project. I'm a founder of Hydrodrip. And what we do is we're a marketing on-chain for Cardano and other different crypto-centric businesses and other things like that. And the big thing with us is that we don't want your dollars. We actually don't even want your ADA. If you have your own token or other things like that, you can pay in your own token for our services, and we treat it just like it is ADA or just like it is dollars. If you want to pay in ADA or dollars, we take that as well. But all of our prices are set in ADA because for ADA Ace, one ADA is one ADA. US dollars don't matter. So I'm here actually to talk about Hydrodrip, or not talk about Hydrodrip, to talk about Mecca. Mecca is a project that's coming to Cardano, and it's going to be a CIP68, which NFT, which for the people that don't know anything about that, the differences is as the CIP68 means that I can change the data, I can upgrade it, I can update it, I can burn it, I can change the art. I can give it different attributes and say, you know, things happen or other things, whatever we set up in the programming, it can automatically change the NFT, what it is viewed like on the blockchain to not only you, but everyone else. So it makes it a live NFT. So we're not the only people that do that. We're just going to take this in a different way. And we have mech warriors type of deals. And they're actually behind me, kind of deal. And those are the NFTs. And essentially what we're going to do is we're blending the UTXO brothers. Bitcoin is father. That's where all the liquidity is. That's what created all of what we're here for now. And Cardano just makes it functional. And what we're going to do is we're going to mint the NFTs on Cardano, and those that funds are then going to purchase Bitcoin miners that are going to go be with my buddy over here, Buck, and he's going to treat them real nice and put them in his fluid and keep them all cool and everything in the very, very hot Texas. But the big thing is it's in the United States. So if we have any issues or anything like that, we can go see them. We can go touch them. There's no issues. We don't have any, sanctions that we can't fly to those countries or other things like that. And he's an American business. So as it works in America, if we have an issue and there's something that goes wrong, we can sue you. That's how that works. Not that that's a problem, and nor do I think that's going to happen, but that is the ability that you do have when you do business with American businesses. And that's the reason why we're going to be doing business with Buck's host over there. But the big thing is everybody says Cardano doesn't have liquidity. And essentially what this is we're going to be securing the Bitcoin network even further, because we all know where Bitcoin is going. $100,000 is not where it's going to stop. Even if it doesn't stop this cycle, whatever, it's still going up further than that, 250,000, 500,000, whatever crazy number you want to put in your head. And these NFTs are going to be able to secure that network. And then for that, you're going to be earning the revenue from Bitcoin miners, which actually is better than buying Bitcoin itself. Buck might be able to talk a little bit about that in its own deal. So that's all that. And that's a little bit for me to talk about right now. I don't want to talk about too much without y'all having any questions, because I can just literally.
Oh, yeah. So big picture, you guys are going to have these NFTs. If I go grab one and I put it in my wallet, say I have a Vesper wallet and I grab one of the NFTs, when you're going to use that liquidity and purchase this mining equipment, you're going to start. What do you? Is it all Bitcoin? Like, or what are you going to actually mine?
Only Bitcoin. That's all that matters. So Bitcoin is where the money is at. You spend the extra money on the machine, and that's the only that. Yes, you have the chance of getting a Casper miner or Doge miner or all the other things, and a chance that those things could take off. But if you're going to do something in a business sense where we're trying to bring about $400,000 US dollars to Buck to be able to buy these machines, we're attempting to bring 50 to 100 miners online with this project, and bring in a substantial monthly revenue. And I think what you were going to ask is, where does that go? What happens to that Bitcoin? Was that where you're going?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Alrighty. So one of the big things that we're changing is we're not one of the projects that's just going to have a picture that doesn't change, and we just send you some ADA to your wallet because Bitcoin changed to ADA and other things like that, and it's super passive and other things like that. It can be a passive deal for you if you want it to, but the part of our project is that it's interactive. It moves, it grows, it's never the same. So we're actually going to be yielding into our own Cardano native asset called Bolt. And that kind of goes off of the electricity side, is that the mech warriors, mech things need electricity and energy to run. And so do the miners. The miners are the core. So the arc frames, as they're called, and the Mecha Dynasty, which is what these are.
Can I pause you right there just
Sure.
because I like I'm looking at this from just, hey, you're telling me I got to put this together in my head. So the NFT and to be able to own it, and then you get a piece of the mining rewards makes perfect sense to me. How does these characters and this and like the mecha, the whole, where did that come from? What is that about? Because you could have any NFT, right, as long as it's connected to the Bitcoin mining rewards. So how does that blend in? Where did that start from? Like, kind of lace that into this, because that's where I'm uncertain myself.
So it's part of the project. It creates the ecosystem. It is what the founder and the artist came up with as the picture or placeholder for, I guess, your technical bond ticket, is if you wanted to make it that way. So that's what they came up with, and it's the story that they came up with. There's an entire lore and a background and everything that goes with the arc frames and where they came from, and when they get burned, because that's a possibility. Then there's a story that happens with what happened to them and everything. So it just makes it more interactive and more than just a financial aspect kind of deal.
More than just a simple transaction. There's
Exactly.
Gotcha.
It brings life to the blockchain. It brings life to what we're doing in a story, and what the founder wants to portray, which he's actually very Christian and very about all of that. So he feels that he wants to use this to kind of tell that story in a way that some may not. It's a little different of a story. So he's going to be blending essentially the story of the Bible and Jesus and everything in with the arc frames and how the core and how that all works. So there's a giant story and a potential for comic books and other things later. Obviously, you have to get the project off the ground, has to start making revenue, other things like that. But the founder does have some awesome ideas and things that would bring this beyond just the investment side and trying to get the miners.
Now, is he doxxed? Do we know who he is?
The Jay Briggs guy that you actually said you don't know who he is, that's actually the founder. So he's worked at many different miner sites and other things. So I personally have not personally met him, but I have spoke with people that have met with him, and he's given me his address and his full name and other things like that. And Buck will know exactly who he is because they'll actually do the physical transaction and other things. I actually think that he might actually come in person to put the miners in with Buck whenever that does happen. So
is he part of the Risk banker gang people?
So he has been involved with as a holder and other things like that, not on the team side or the founder side or other things like that, but one of the other advisors and the other multi-sig signer is Johnny from Risk, the founder of Risk. So he is the other multi-sig signer. I am one of the multi-sig signers as well. So all of the funds that do come from the miners are going to be traded into ADA and come into a multi-sig wallet that needs us to transaction in and everything. So all of the abilities that have the potential of somebody trying to run away with the money or the miners or other things like that, those are not things that should or could happen with the way that we're setting up this project. One, because Buck's gonna have him, and you know, he's a crayon eater. He ain't gonna let nobody come take nothing from him.
That is true.
That's right. Well, let's get into that piece, Buck, a little bit. So how'd you get dragged into this, man? Tell us a little for the audience. Most of you guys know Buck. I mean, he's in all those circles we're in, Army Piper community, TradeFly, all the groups, all the channels that we're into. So Buck's been around. But like, Buck, tell us a little bit about the mining side. Like, what are you going to be using to mine these things, and what does one of those ASIC miners cost, and what's the difference? Like, how do we know as investors, right? Because we're going to be buying some of these NFTs and nothing else just to support you guys. How do we like? What's your experience, brother? Like, tell everybody how long you've been doing this, what you've been up to mining wise, and go into that a little bit if you would, brother.
Roger that. So been in the mining space a few years now, about 2.5 years. I got into it because I got really agitated about Florida to start with changing the rates at which they were going to repay you on your solar panel energy rates, right? Like you could have solar panels up and they would pay you at whatever the standard rate was. And San Antonio was doing the same thing, and different investment properties that people were involved with had that. And they changed the rules and they said, oh, by the way, we're not doing that anymore. And I was like, cool. Well, it's energy. So like, how do I take that amount of energy and then offset it against my bill? And it just made sense. And I just started playing with it. And then I really like the idea of IoT sensors, doing different business projects, like doing things for businesses that would take the place of minimum wage employees. Like the thing I hated about business the most was dealing with the bottom edge or bottom end worker, because it was so much oversight and so much everything. And I really didn't like it. The first company ran was a commercial construction business. And I think we maxed out at 42 guys. We were doing work all over Texas, usually running 4 or 5 man crews, a couple of crews at a job if you needed to. And logistically, like it's fun, you make stuff happen, but the more people you had on board, it was like, and it really made me think through how do you maximize what you can do with using the least amount of people. That got in me into just playing with different things within the different businesses. And when I started seeing the IoT side of it, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Started messing with some of the IoT mining sensors. And I've learned real fast, like mining doesn't matter unless you're doing Bitcoin, right? Unless you're doing Bitcoin and you're doing Bitcoin on an industrial scale. And at that point, it's what is your power? What is the piece of equipment you're using? What's the rate of return? How well are you running this, based on something else? And as I got deeper into the Bitcoin mining thing, I really fell in love with the immersion mining. My background is in plumbing since I was about 12 years old. I started working for my dad. I got a master's license in Texas at 21. Worked all over the place plumbing. So I learned a lot of stuff doing plumbing. And then my thing was commercial boiler works and chiller systems and rate pack boilers, Teledyne Lars boilers. And that's kind of how I really got good at doing plumbing stuff, because like nobody else wanted to touch that stuff. They were scared of it. And it's an instruction book. It's a manual. It's a training course from a manufacturer. And
it's a very marine thing to do. Instruction books.
Yeah. I mean, there's always going to be a manufacturer's rep that's willing to put you through a course or whatever, especially if you're going to sell their stuff, right? So like, okay, cool, do it, get after it. And the more you learn, you take whatever you learn from that business or that thing you did, and you apply that to the next thing you do, right? Whether that's plumbing, whether that's stuff you learn in the Marine Corps, whether that's stuff you learn, whatever business you're in, whatever business you happen to be in. If you're not constantly learning and taking those skill sets that you learn and try to perfect, and then take that to bear against the next thing you do, then you're messing up, right? So what I did is this is really cool. It's hydraulics. It's cooling down fluid and cooling down machines. So what's the coolest way to do this, and how do you mess with it? So I got into doing the immersion stuff. My first immersion project was really silly. It was putting stuff in a tank and heating stuff up and seeing what it would do and how much heat it would dissipate, and then try to figure out like, what does that look like on a bigger scale? That got me into some of the Sumner tanks, looking at how those things worked, and then looking at different ways to adjust the Sumner tanks and make them run better. That's real fun. it's one of those businesses that you can keep tweaking forever, right? So if you can adjust a percent, a 0.5%, 2%, 1%, a 0.16%, when you look at it on scale, it just makes sense. And I really like it. I find it really interesting, and I like to tweak with stuff.
Yeah, man. Yeah. You told me a story about like the swimming pool side, like yeah.
So
Tell that. Yeah.
I was trying to figure
That's
out
a
a way
great
to-
story, man.
yeah. So I knew that I wanted to heat my pool because the pool was like cold and I didn't have a pool heater, and the pool heater was going to cost X amount of money and it was going to run X amount of power. So I just took the pool water, ran it through a heat exchanger, and then heated it up with the fluid on the backside. And like you can run up to like 650,000 BTUs on a standard heat exchanger, just running like a fluid in and water through system. So over time, it depends on how much equipment you're putting on that line, but I had a 20,000 gallon pool in the backyard, and that just made sense to use that as a cooling source. So it was pretty fun. And it was one of those redneck projects that I went, that's awesome. And then the next step is cool. Like, how do I take this and then put this in a consumable fashion that you could like, put it in somebody's house and they can run a Bitcoin miner. We're not quite there because I mean, that's UL listings and approvals and all that shenanigans, right? But it's a cool idea.
Legal stuff. Who
Well,
cares?
It's more of a, what can you do with this power? So how do you use this power that you're already going to spend money on to do something that you need for your house and then get Bitcoin back in rewards, right? Like, I think everybody should be in Bitcoin. I am not a fan of the financial system at all. I'm not totally weird like Ada is, where like everything's going to zero, because I'm still gonna have to like interact with my neighbors and actually be in the system to do what you have to do. But yeah, I really like the hedge. When everything fell apart, 2008, 2007 is when it started on the commercial market side. But by in 2008, when you realize that like this fractional reserve thing it's scary. It can really,
Right.
they can put you behind an 8 ball and you didn't even mean to get there, right? So you could be doing everything that you're supposed to be doing all your jobs, doing your work, paying your bills. And then all of a sudden the bank says, oh yeah, by the way, guys, we're not playing the last month's draw or next month's draw either. We don't really care how much money you have in the ground on this project, right? That's disgusting.
Yeah, that actually happened to me in a way. And yeah, that's so it was interesting. A lot of us have these different stories, but the answer, all that happened in 08 and the answer came about in 09. So there's always an answer out there. You just got to know which rocks to look under. But for all those people that went through the housing crisis and the financial crisis, there was an answer that was created for us, and a lot of us didn't come and go and find that answer until 2016, 17, 18, 19, whenever. But we always say, Bitcoin finds you, or you find Bitcoin when you're supposed to, right? So, but back to the project. So you're going to be handling the mining side of everything. You have substantial experience in mining, so there's nothing about that side of the project that you haven't done before or that scares you. So, how many miners are you guys looking to have operational on like the first phase of this?
So it all impinges on how many we can mint. So phase one is 2,500 of the 5,000 total supply of the ARC frames. And depending on the price of ADA and other things like that, that could get us anywhere between 30 and say 50 machines. We've done the math. He's done the math actually. And about every $50,000 that we can bring him will bring us about $2,000, $2,200, depending on when the math was done and all of the other nerd math that goes into the revenue. Obviously, that doesn't stay the same. Price goes up, price goes down, difficulty goes up, other things, all of those types of things happen and change. But just so you can kind of give a round estimate, $50,000 in brings in about $2,000 a month back. So that's what we're planning on doing with that. That's also going to have a little bit of a seed into the liquidity for the Bolt token. It's going to pay for things like Hydro Drip. It's going to pay for the miner, not the miner, to the the Minter and the other smart contract side of the CIP68 and the upgradability and other things like that. But we're also going to have where when you have one of our art frames, you're going to be able to be our eyes and ears, just like we would be our eyes and ears, and so would Buck. So then we're going to have so many different eyes being able to watch these machines, how they're operating and other things like that, because that is actually going to be produced into a dashboard for our holders are going to be able to see how our miners are actually operating. So that's a positive for everything there. But to get it back to a little more on what we're going to be doing and the differences of what this project is between the other miners and other things, other than having a known miner and other things like that we're not going to have any issues with, and stuff like that. We're not going to have, I ordered, $100,000 worth of miners, and 6 months later I can't find Buck or other things else like that. That's not an issue that's going to happen here for this project. And when we have these, the biggest part of this is the upgradability. So when you burn the NFTs, you have the opportunity of burning them. There's 25% of the token that's going to be emitted from these is actually set aside. So there's a game theory that goes along with this as well on, do I want to burn this NFT to be able to get more Bolt token? Do I want to just purchase it off the liquidity pool? Because when you burn your ARC frame, you no longer get to revenue from that side. But when that gets burned, then it increases the revenue to the rest of that category. So there's this ebb and flow that the revenue and the yield back to these are going to be dynamic. You have to choose to stake them and other things like that, which is simple. You mint them, you stake them, cool, you're done. But if you want to upgrade them, when you want to upgrade, say you have a common and you want to upgrade to an uncommon has to be burned before you can upgrade yours. So there's not ever too many in any one rarity. And that allows the game theory of, okay, do I want to mint more? Do I want to buy some off of secondary? Do I want to go here? Do I want to buy from the liquidity pool to be able to upgrade? But the reason why there is the other side of the token existing there, is that's where the liquidity is going to come into. So Buck is mining. He's going to do all of that. He's going to send that out. It's going to come straight into ADA, into our multi-sig wallet. And then 50% of that is going to go back to purchasing the Bolt token. And that purchase of that Bolt token is going to go back into the dynamic yielding pool. And there's a formula that goes on, and then depending on how much we get to mine, where ADA and Bitcoin is, and all of the rest of those, you have this constant ebb and flow, circular motion of liquidity coming back into the Cardano blockchain that is being funded by the project securing the Bitcoin network. The biggest thing is we all know Bitcoin is coming to Cardano, right? I don't know. Maybe somebody do. Maybe you don't know. Cardinal's already here. Bitcoin OS is working. Sundial's working. Fluid Tokens is working. Babel fees are going to be here very soon. We're going to be able to basically run a Bitcoin DeFi market on Cardano, and essentially, I think that's the greatest thing. Hey, so I love that. But if we don't know, ViFi is about to come out with their Plutus V3 contracts, which means that's the most updated. All the rest of that, they'll be the newest deck with the newest things. They'll be able to actually have a triple pool. So instead of how tokens work on dexes right now, where you have 1-to-1 and they match and they move around, they've actually found a way to be able to have up to 7 different tokens in one pool, and it all moves across and equals out. And we're going to have Bitcoin, ADA, Bolt liquidity for our token that is funded and every month increased in liquidity from the revenue from the miners. And 20% is going to keep buying us more miners. So this process never ends, and it continuously grows and everything from there. And this is just phase 1.
Well, yeah. So I see BC has a question, but before we get to that, BC, So big picture so there's a lot of people that, number one, they're not familiar with Cardano. A lot of the acronyms that you just threw down there, 8A's, they probably don't really know about, right? But right. So big picture though, what this is, if you ever wanted to get into some Bitcoin mining, but you didn't have the funds to be able to go out and buy an ASIC, or you didn't have enough product knowledge or knowledge in general, technical knowledge, you guys are basically making it simple. You buy an NFT, you stake that NFT, you get a piece of the Bitcoin mining by trusted people in the space. And that's just big picture, right? And then secondary, if you're into a lot of the lore and good artwork and things like that, you could there's a place for you at the table for that as well. And then tertiary, you got this other stuff going on that's connected to the tokenomics and everything else. So with that said, I just want to kind of simplify it for our audience there. I
do get technical sometimes.
Yeah.
I try not to, but I actually don't even know what I said.
So let's get into BC's pork. He says, how are the Bolt tokens available supply tied to the liquidity provided by the Bitcoin miners?
So that all goes based off of when we start. When we start, 10% of the token will be supplied with the liquidity that we get back from minting the NFTs, and we'll have that set aside. There's 100 million tokens. The token is a set supply, and there's not ever going to be any more of the minted, so it's going to be a circular supply. There's in the white paper, it breaks down how much is set for each different thing, but I don't know if I answered the question.
I think you did. He answer it, BC? Are you comfortable with that answer, BC? You can put it in the chat.
Yeah.
So how do they get a hold of you guys? So what's your Discord? How does someone get started?
So what I would say is, one, get a Discord or an X page, and you can come over to Mecha Labs. That's their X page, and that'll have their link there to their Discord. Or you could come into HydroDrip's Discord, and you can find Mecha and many other projects. That's what we do. We market for many different projects and other things like that. We have a lot of other things too going on. I have my own flip token game that we call Drip Flip. I have a server that's behind me that is for the Igon network. That's the decentralized storage on Cardano. We have 10 different air nodes from World Mobile Token, which is essentially Helium, if you don't know that, and they're actually making their own chain. They're going to be a layer 3 on base, and that should be live actually very soon there. So we have multiple different things going on, all kinds of things on the HydroDrip side of things, different revenues. Essentially what HydroDrip is I made a crypto project that made me into something people could purchase through crypto. I could work, I could do things, and other people can revenue from that kind of deal. Because in a marketing sense, you have to have a group of people. If you don't have an audience, you're marketing to no one. So you have to have an audience. So the project brings the audience, and then I can market to not only that audience, but to everything, like I am doing here, or with Army Piper on his deal with TradeFly, other deals like that, my own YouTube channel. Whenever I actually get back around to doing those things, it will probably be when Cornucopius's newest update comes out, because I will be having fun doing that one. I do want to show some pictures and a video before we run out of time, because I know we're coming up on our time frame here.
Yep.
I know you can see a couple of them. I am sharing my screen, so let's
go ahead, Dave.
There. So just want to kind of go through some of them. All of these these are all hand drawn by the artist. Yes, they're electronically drawn, but they're still hand drawn by the artist. And I think these are pretty awesome, honestly. So you can kind of see where some of the artwork is going here and whatnot. Essentially, they created all of the different pieces, and the minter itself will be able to put them all back together. These are the higher tier where we have put them together, so we know what they're going to look like now. The other ones have not been put together yet. That will actually be put together by the minter. That's how it works, and everything. If you run a NFT deal like we're running them currently. And let me see, I like this one. The skull face is kind of crazy. Some people like those and other things like that. This one kind of makes me think of what's the show on Netflix? Red light, green
Squid
light.
Game.
Squid Game, yeah. So it makes me think of the Squid Game deal. And then here's one of the 1-for-1s. This was probably one of the most badass ones in my opinion. So I released that one on TradeFly. This is the one that we showed on Good Morning Crypto. This is another one of the 1-for-1s there. And then this is actually going to be the 1-for-1 release for your show. So no one has seen this one yet. So anybody that is out there watching and other things like that, we have this one here. And with this, if you can jump into our Discord, we are still giving away OG mint tickets and whitelist mint tickets, which gets you a single mint for each one of the tickets that you get at a lower price. I haven't told you anything about the price right now, but the OGs are going to be minted at 66 ADA. The whitelist mint tickets are going to be at 99 ADA, and the public pricing is going to be 125 ADA each. But we have a special that if you mint 5 in one mint, we'll give you one for free. So we kind of reduce the price there on the public side and whatnot there. And then I have our.
That's a really cool NFT there too. I like that. That's
you
really
like that
cool.
one?
Yeah.
You like that one? This one is still my favorite. He's the dark side one, if you can't tell. So there's 3 different factions that are out there that split up of the art frames, and they have their different things that they're supposed to do in the Mecha Dynasty world that's out there. So I was
very nice.
The video that I made, and I think it is this one. Let me see here. All right, so yes, it is. All right, so I don't know if they can hear my audio. Can they hear the audio for this?
I don't hear any audio.
I haven't played it yet, so I'm gonna play it. So here's at least this. It kind of releases it. There's a song that comes with it. I don't know if y'all can hear it.
Can't hear it.
Can't hear
No
that.
audio.
No audio. Damn. Okay, well.
It looks really cool. So
it's on my YouTube page, or not YouTube. It's on my X page and everything. It's on their X page as well, whatnot. So it's just kind of some of the NFTs we've shown you. This is kind of what I do as well. So I produced this video and had Suno make the song and other things that's going on in the background that you can't hear. But hey, you can come out and see those. But these are the NFTs that you would be purchasing and whatnot there. So
Andrew, yeah. So I tried to get break this down a little bit. Great question, Andrew. So he's saying, hey, really for beginners, I just would like to know step by step a simple tutorial on how to actually buy and how to allocate the NFTs for beginners. So what you're saying, 8Ace, is you're saying, look, this project is getting ready to launch, and you need to come to my Discord. You need to go into the Discord, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because a lot of, like, when we launched our NFT project, we drove everybody to our webpage, right? Which on our webpage had our mint site, which is actually how we minted the NFTs, right? So I think what Andrew's getting to is like, hey, if I want to jump in right now, you're telling everybody to go into the Discord, right? For instruction and clarity. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes. And to get in with the group of people that are there, to be in with our games, because we play games depending on which side you're in. There's all kinds of things and reason to be in the Discord. One, we're still currently giving out whitelist mint tickets and OG mint tickets. Like I did one today with people that tested Drip Flip because it's in pre-prod testing and everything. So I gave away an OG for the first person that was able to get to the bonus game on my deal. So just as it comes and goes, those are things that come and pop up. Like yesterday, we did this whole big old deal where we did rumbles, which I don't know if people know what they are, but if you get into this type of deal, then we're in Discord. We have a game that runs in there, and then it we can decide, hey, this winner gets something. Or like in my Discord, it runs and I give you tokens and give you credits for another type of on the other side of my project and other things. There's so many things. I can come back and talk my own project for another hour. But
there's a lot going on, and that's why I want to kind of keep it focused on like, okay, so for right now, do you guys have a mint date? Do you have it?
Yes, June 20th is when the OG is going to happen. June 21st is when whitelist is going to happen. And then June 22nd is when the public of phase 1 is going to go live. It should be operating on its own website. The website is not operational yet. That is all still being built by the Minter dev. But all that stuff will be given out through our X page, my Discord, their Discord. Being involved with, just in our groups and other things. You shouldn't miss it unless you just disappear for a month. So I hope that this would be something that would mint out really quick, and we have a mint of 3 different days. But this mint will stay open until they are minted. And we have different contingencies on what we're going to do on if only so many is minted and other things like that. So the goal is mint as many as we can, get them as fast as you can, so that we can get as many miners as we can with Buck, and as soon as we can, because the faster we do it, the best price we can get for everything. Because we all know that if this takes 6 months and Bitcoin goes to 200,000, all of the miners are going to cost way more money, and other things there. So
in the end, you have mint date set. You need to go to the Discord. You need to get basically registered so that you could hopefully get on a whitelist. Then once you're on that whitelist, Andrew, then you can go to the mint site. They'll give you the mint site. You go into the mint site and you actually mint it. Once you mint it, it's in your wallet. They'll give you further instruction, and probably next step after that would eventually be the staking of it. So I think we're tracking just for our team, the Billy Goat Tales team. Redman, Dave, Jimmy, do you got any questions for these guys?
I know we talked a lot. I didn't give y'all any chance to say anything or ask anything. Sorry.
Yeah. So
Good.
you mentioned a little bit about that the miners will go up and they'll fluctuate with price with Bitcoin. What is you guys' plan for that? Or do you have a plan on how you're going to get the cheap miners with the right technology? And how often are you going to have to change those out? And when are you going to sell those miners? Do you have that kind of a plan already in place? Or is that
yes, actually, we do, because we would be following Buck's direction there and whatnot. So the machines that we're going to get should run for about 7 years or 2 cycles. Okay, go ahead. You got an answer. Go ahead. I'll let him answer that.
So we're running the S21s, the immersion miners. So here's the deal. Just like anything else, it's a moving target, right? So right now I'm averaging 307 to 312 terahash per unit. As those things become less efficient on the next cycle, so we'll have probably a year after the next halving when the new coolest, awesomest stuff comes online. Like they had the XPs that came online, and there's always something newer and something better at that point. You can run the machines probably for another cycle and a half, right? Or 2 cycles. You'll be at the same level you're at an S19 right now, where you're that far behind on your equipment cycle. You could always upgrade faster, but that's going to be on the as stuff's coming online, we won't know where it's at, right? Like, so right now, if you were looking at the S21 XP, the return off the XP doesn't actually make sense based on the pricing, because you're only the amount of terahash you're getting for that extra dollar amount, right? The unit costs that much more. You're not getting that much terahash even when you're running it an overclock. So it doesn't really make sense when you break down numbers on it. Now, if the XPs come down lower and you're getting it for a lower cost per terahash, then that makes more sense. Nobody knows what the next thing is going to come out when it comes to Bitcoin mining. The important part is we're running 3-phase. So we've got the 3-phase units set up, going as efficiently as we possibly can. Right now, the best that I'm looking at in the immersion setup is an S21 immersion miner, and it works pretty well.
Are you guys going to be going to Dallas in November for the Bitcoin mining conference?
Hell yeah. Aren't you?
All right. I'm hoping.
And one of the other things I'd like to say is 20% of the revenue from the miners from when we start is going to go back into funding future or increasing miners. So we'll have 20% of that funding going to the future of the project as well. So it's not like we're going to do this mining and we're done and whatnot. We're going to compound at least 20% of the revenue from the miners to potentially go into other different things and whatnot there.
Well, like Billy, right now, the hottest, most overkill thing in the market is the water, the hydro miners, right? They're awesome. They're running crazy terahash. They're great. If you walked around the Bitcoin conference and you saw, I don't know, a couple $100,000 worth of equipment being right up against a radiator hose with a hose clamp on it, made by a Chinese company with a Chinese ball valve and a Chinese packing nut, and you know exactly what's going to happen with a variable frequency pump, where as that thing loses pressure, it's going to keep pushing harder and harder and harder. So you're going to give it everything it has in that system to dump all of that water all over those miners. And yeah, it sounds awesome, like it's great, but that's a couple $100,000 worth of gear. If you're talking the full Connex box container with a 4-inch variable frequency pump, that thing's blowing 80 to 90 gallons of water on, what is that, $4 million worth of gear? Like, that makes my stomach feel sick, right? And when I asked the questions, they wouldn't even answer me. The Bitmain guy turned around and walked off. Like, he just wouldn't talk to me anymore. So, like, yes, I know there's really cool stuff on the market, but you have to balance that cool stuff and what it can do with what damage it could do, if that makes sense. I say that makes sense too much, by the way, Billy. So it's kind of like my thing.
That's okay, man. No, you're doing great. You're doing great. But no, all that see, and that's sounds like the beautiful part about your guys' project. You know what you're doing in your sector. Ada Ace, everybody knows on Cardano side of things, he's Ada Ace, right? He's plugged in to everything Cardano. And then, of course, you have the whole NFT side and the business practical side, which is apparently who you teamed up with for your owner. So it sounds like a great project. Now, I always got to say this, and Billy Goat Tales doesn't endorse any particular project. We bring founders on and talk to them all the time. But personally, I'll be supporting because I'm a big fan of all you guys, and we're a big fan of trying to help the Cardano community in general go. We're big believers in Cardano, so we're here for you guys. Jimmy, you got any questions for him before we move on? Because believe it or not, we've already blew up almost an hour on this, which is great. But you got anything, Jimmy?
No, well, I'm good.
You good to go? Dave, you good?
Yeah, that was the only questions I had. I look forward to hopefully seeing you guys at the Bitcoin conference or the Bitcoin Miners conference.
Yeah, Buck, thanks for, man, you're always welcome on our show. So are you, Ada Ace. But guys, thanks for popping in at the last minute here. We appreciate you. And if we can do anything for you, let us know. DMs, back channels. Love to support you guys. We appreciate you burning up a Father's Day with Billy Goat Tales today.
Yeah, I'm gonna go cook me some chicken wings for the rest of my family and my stepfather that's coming over and other things. I got my sister, my brother, and everybody that's here. So I'm gonna go cook up about 100 chicken wings on the grill and everything now, and go have some fun and go try to drink a little bit of scotch, man, and have fun before the in real life work starts tomorrow, man. Because that's what we still have to do. Still, hopefully one day we won't have to do that anymore. This will be work.
That's right. That's right. All right, guys. Well, thanks a lot, Buck. Good seeing you. Did great, man. We appreciate you guys.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah,
Happy Father's Day, guys.
Happy Father's Day. Thanks, guys.
All right, man. That was great. That was wonderful. Normally we have Tex-Mex Biomex here to help us get reset. But let's do this as we transition to our topics. Dave, let's pull up Redman's our little book promo, and so make sure everybody knows about that.
All
and
right.
then sorry, I didn't see DDT. Is he in the building? Because we're going to have to get in some charts.
He's in the building. I just dropped the link in the chat.
Okay. All right.
We'll see if he comes up. If not, we can talk Bitcoin.
Yep.
All right. You ready now?
Yeah.
Yeah, we at Billy Go Tales want to let everybody know that this book in and of itself does not mine Bitcoin. It mines it mines knowledge about blockchain that you can share with your kids 4 to 14 years old. If you have kids in your life that you want to grow up with some kind of wholesome investment strategy knowledge, get this book and talk to them about Bitcoin, about blockchain, and what to do, what's right, what's wrong. And it's all in the book. And we love the book. The book came out great. Yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't mine Bitcoin, but it does open up a pathway where you could talk to your kids about Bitcoin. So we went a different route, didn't we, Billy?
Yeah, man. And we are going to be always writing more books, right? So our next book that's coming out is going to be the Q1 of 2026 and written by our own Jimmy. So that's going to be happening. And of course, we're going to read Redman's book, Miss Teen Crypto. Randy's going to read it on Christmas Eve, which is going to become part of our tradition here at Billy Goat Tales. And the whole idea is to touch children's lives in a positive way, keep them safe, make sure they're investing early so we can change their lives as early as possible, because time is the most important asset everyone has, and it goes really, really fast, believe it or not. With that said, let's get into a little bit of some charts here. We have DDT in the one day.
Almost, Billy. Almost.
One day. DDT, what's going on, brother?
Good evening. How's the microphone? I'm still using the headset.
Sounds
My
good.
USB mic packed up. I have to buy another one. But yeah, hope everyone's had a good day. All the fathers had a good day. Got spoiled.
Yeah, happy Father's Day to you too, man. Doing good. Let's get into some Bitcoin chart action. See what's happening over there in the Bitcoin world, DDT. I've kind of been unplugged a little bit today with the Bitcoin price.
We on? Cool. All right. So chart is still a bit of a spaghetti, but basically this week so far, we literally we moved up. We kind of rejected here, there was an 886 contract, but yeah, there was a Fibonacci level order block. There was a 16-hour or 12-hour order block up here with sales. Obviously came down. I think as well there was a 4-hour, no, not quite 4-hour bull diff, bear diff. So yeah, it was a bit of a bing bong week. Obviously we had the news with these two countries fighting again like usual, having it out for each other. So at this point, also this week as well, obviously when we came down, we had a red dot on market B, kind of the momentum wave coming down. The money flow is fairly flat. The worrying things at this point is also this week we had higher time frame red dots, confirm. So yeah, for the most part, it's been a bit choppy this week. Like, I think there is a bit of kind of an air of speculation as to what Bitcoin does next. Summertime range, all that type of jazz. So the thing for me now is this weekly red dots. We have obviously, if I just close the local.
So we have a red dot on the weekly.
Let me just close the local. Where's my local? Well, that one. So I just want to take that one off. So basically, yeah, the weekly red dots is incoming, I think. During the weekend, this 6 days been flashing, and obviously the 5-day confirmed. The 5-day confirmed a while ago. So it's we're really just hanging around. There's a few ranges where we've just been hanging around in. At this point now, we're failing to break above and hold above like 106,600. So this is like this range from November. So failing to hold above that at this point. So every time every time we get above it, we held and then we rejected, and then we came back up and rejected. So there is some bearish pressure and sell pressure that comes in as soon as we get back above there. At this point now, we've now got the second daily close incoming below this macro value area high kind of level around 106,400 to 106,600. The 4 hour for me is kind of base case again. So obviously as we came down, we've had the 4 hour money flow cross. We had a 4 hour kind of didn't quite have a 4 hour bullish divergence here, but it's just really been going sideways the weekend, or literally since the news broke on Friday morning early, just after the daily open on Friday. Obviously went down, literally just gone sideways. So market's in an indecision point. But what I do have is a local range at this point, where I have a few levels that will coincide with that. So at this point, all I'm really watching out for is kind of this level here between, say, 103.9 and 104.2. We've not really come down. If I drop down to 1 hour, we've not really come down to kind of to the weekend trap low. So this is just the trap consolidation. I have spoken about this a few times. So obviously, if you look at that, that's just a weekend consolidation, basically going sideways. But Bitcoin's not really choosing a direction yet. So for the most part, obviously as well, we had 4 hour money flow red, which was obviously kind of for me favor shorts on retraces. We've had it flip back green, but now it's obviously now come back red. So it's very choppy. But for the most part, I think we hold 104, 103.9. That should be okay. Obviously, everyone's still talking about 100,000 key levels. So yeah, for the most part, it's looking as if it may just chop and kind of, if it's going to do anything, it's going to wheel its way down, or you can turn around. It needs to flip that level to support this 105, this value area high, this local range, and then it can work its way up, right, back up to like 106, 107. At this point, to me, it's looking as if it wants to, just by kind of volume, price action, no real big buyers stepping in or long stepping in to actually hold price or support price at this point. So range, but kind of my best guesstimate here at this point would say that it's going to wheel its way down a bit and work its way down a little bit. Obviously, key levels to hold 102. There's the local value area low. Obviously, we have this kind of local zone there as well, but then obviously 100K. Targets to the upside if we were going to move up and it just doesn't fake us out and everyone gets uber bearish and then we just yeet again, we would need to reclaim 105.6, and then that would work us up to, so obviously we now around this POC, there. So obviously we flip that POC to support. Level to support, work its way up, flip the value area hard to support, and then we can go up. But ideally now, the kind of key level to break above and hold above is 105,600. And then obviously kind of key level to hold locally now is still about this 104 level. So it could do either or, but kind of that's, you kind of, I think what's good as a trader is you need to prepare for all scenarios, right? I'm leaning more bearish slightly, but I wouldn't be surprised if obviously with all the bearishness, market maker or kind of whales, they'll yeet it up, take out the shorts and then drop it lower. So that's what Bitcoin's looking like for me. It's looking as if it wants to go lower, but whether that happens is obviously a coin toss at this point. What I'm seeing in methods and the little systems and indicators I use, I would think it would go lower, but obviously that's not a given. That's just kind of my bias based on what I'm seeing. But yeah, could go up, could go down. If it goes down, it needs to hold 104, obviously 102 and 100K are kind of your key levels to the downside. But if it goes up first and flips 105, 600, then obviously it can then go up to 107.
So what was the weekly money flow again? I couldn't quite see it. Is that money flow coming up, coming out?
The weekly money flow is coming up. It's turned up.
Okay.
So, yeah. So the weekly money flows, it's still making lower highs, but the one other concern, sorry, that I didn't mention was this. It's something we've been speaking about in Frankie's Discord as well. Is that this 3-day money flow is now flipped red, although it can fake out, because generally here when we were when we were what were the prices like between 60 and whatever 60 and 73 or the 50 and 73k. We had a where we were ranging down here. We also had the 3-day money flow flip red, right? Even in the summer range last year, right? And then obviously as that 3-day money flow flipped back green, that's what brought us back up, basically. One of the initial signs to say that we were going to come back up and form a higher range. So that would kind of be so this 3-day money flow red will be like my money will be like the summer range again, pretty much. And things, yeah, so that's kind of but we do have kind of various signs, but obviously as well money flow and the dots on market stuff sometimes lag a bit, specifically on the higher time frames. So the bulk of the moves are already kind of played out. Weekly is looking for a red dot. The 6-day red dot is kind of flashing on and off. So yeah, for the most part, it's just literally going sideways at this point. Obviously, it's weekend range, but we've got to watch now. Obviously, my bias was that they were going. It looks as if they're baiting longs, because obviously we've already attacked as well. Sorry, kind of to add up, we've already attacked kind of there and there. You'd expect breakout longs to come in, and then obviously they've just pulled it back into the range. So it depends what the open does now, and I think it's just opened. Let me just quickly double check here what happened with oil. They're not trading yet, so about 10 minutes, about 15 minutes after CME opens now at 6 p.m. EST, we should start getting some movement to see. I'm thinking Brent, like oil and stuff, with all this war stuff going on, oil's going to go up a bit more. Obviously, oil up, Bitcoin dominance up, USDT dominance up, and obviously Bitcoin will fall over or roll over. So there's a few things to look out for that can show early signs. Although as well, literally the whole weekend while we've been going sideways, Bitcoin dominance has been kind of creeping up as well. It's back at like a 786. So yeah, that's Bitcoin. Is there anything else that you guys want me to look at? Cardano?
Yeah, we got to hit Cardano just because we got 8 Ace on, and we got to. Or I guess since we are running short on time, we can either do ETH or Cardano. Let's just pick one. Which one do you guys want to do?
I'll do Cardano. I think
Cardano.
because obviously, yeah. So just last week I was mentioning that this weekly blood diamond or market cipher B weekly money flow is still red, which is not ideal. Ideally, you'd want that to cross up 3 days as well. So it's still within the range. Like I'm not really, it's not a coin I'll really be concerned about. Yes, it can go low. We have lower levels down to 57 cents, right? 58 cents. But even that's just a deviation of this whole range. So deviate, flip back to support, flip PSE to support. So even at 58 cents, it's still kind of within the range, or kind of the volume profile, or just deviates the volume profile. But generally those are the best trades when it deviates below a level. And yeah, obviously you'll get people that will short. So obviously it breaks down this, people short the back test to go lower. And obviously there's going to be a whole lot of liquidity there because people that long, they probably may not have moved their stop losses up. So for the most part with Cardano, it's just holding out. Anything between 58 and kind of 70 is still the range. Like it's been in this range for how long? 4 months. Yeah. So all kind of this particularly lower time frame, 4 hour or daily volume profile, literally so anything from 58 all the way up to like 80 cents, 82 cents. Obviously the money flow is a concern. Daily money flow definitely needs a flip for me. 4 hours flipped red again. There was what I did look at as well with Cardano was there is an anchored VWAP that I took from the high off the 22nd of May. And obviously that's been kind of key resistance pretty much. So basically it still needs to get back above 70 cents. It flips 70 cents. It flips this little local range here and this kind of volume, this value area low around 69.60. It flips that back to support, and obviously it's got kind of the targets up to 80 cents and above. What's the 1 hour doing? It's the same like Bitcoin. This is like it's a little bit choppy. Like the market needs to pick a direction, needs some catalysts to pick a direction. And yes, obviously the alts do get a bit slaughtered when Bitcoin sneezes, but it's literally like this green box. I've had this green box drawn out here since we dropped to this level, kind of, or no, I've probably had this green box since we were here. I would say when it comes back into this, I think I was showing this on kind of one of my private streams, but like I had this marked out as a key demand zone with these daily, naked, weekly POCs, points of controls, kind of key volume levels. And yeah, there's probably order blocks and stuff in here as well, but it's just ranging like Bitcoin. I think I don't think we should jump the gun just yet. Kind of just, this is kind of my trading wisdom. I think obviously we get over bearish too soon and over bullish too soon. I think we just need to trade the market for what it gives us and kind of not let sentiment control how we trade. Obviously, you don't really want to be too emotional with your trading, right? Like, but for me, I'm fairly kind of, I'm fairly happy in the sense that I don't think that there's not much to worry about yet. When Bitcoin breaks 100K, I think obviously then you'll get a big sentiment shift. But for now, even when if Cardano doesn't break 58 cents, I don't think there's a big.
Hold on.
That's probably where Bitcoin's at 100K, give or take. But like, it's for me, it's not a major, right? So, I think I'm just not getting too worried about everything just yet. You know, trade levels as it comes, whatever levels. But yeah, obviously the key levels to the downside on Cardano is basically 58 cents, but it's now on a key support now between the 60 and 62 cents, 63 cents. It looks as if it's forming it's forming a daily bullish divergence. So it could have, I need to get a new mouse as well. So it's got, it's forming a daily bullish divergence. So it is downside on Cardano, whoever's shorting Cardano, it's losing strength. So at this point, specifically on a higher time frame, yes, the money flow is not confluent, but if it, I would say something like this. Obviously, it can hold here. Your next level is about 67. If it holds and wants to go up, if it just falls out and comes down, obviously it's got like 60 cents down to 58 cents as its support. So at this point as well, obviously, I'm just thinking it's going to range. It may drop a little bit lower, but I don't think it's one of those coins you need to get too scared about. It's not one of the ones that's necessarily just falls off a cliff as soon as Bitcoin sneezes. It's not like a meme coin or like a really low cap that literally has low liquidity. So as soon as Bitcoin sneezes, it like drops 30-40%, right? So for the most part, I wouldn't be concerned. But yeah, hold 62, kind of goes up, kind of get some bullish backing behind it. It could go from 62, hold, and then work its way to 67 again. If it just falls out here, it will come back and back test for a short anyway. So you can get back in and retest kind of, and then obviously your longs will come back in probably around 58 to 60 cents again. But yeah, I'm generally not concerned kind of with price action yet. We obviously got to see what Open does. Let's just see if these things started trading yet. I'll keep an eye on it while we stay on the stream, but no, they're not moving. It's weird. Oh yeah, 2 minutes. So the market will kick off in 2 minutes and see what they do. It's usually 15 minutes after CME opens, you'll start seeing some price action. But yeah,
Good.
not much to be concerned about. And yes, there's going to be decent support below. So I don't think it's just Bitcoin seemed unfazed by this whole scenario that's happening at the moment, and pretty much most of the strong ecosystem and coins for crypto, or the stronger, larger market caps, haven't really kind of dumped or actually also been perturbed by the whole situation. So
well, that's what we want to get into is
remains to be seen.
Yeah, we're going to get into that right now, DDT, which is one of our thumbnail, right? The main thumbnail, which is war, right? How is it going to impact crypto? Well, we know for sure it already has impacted crypto, right? But basically, we saw the stock market decline. We saw oil prices surge, right, and still surging. And then, of course, we have the crypto market. So just real quick, I have some notes on this, but basically the strikes on Iran, the Dow Jones fell by approximately 769 points. and the S&P declined 1.13%, and the NASDAQ dumped 1.3% as well. So we also know that during that same time frame, we took the dump on the crypto market, right? I mean, but before we get into the actual crypto piece of it all, I know a lot of people that really did very well on these options for oil, these oil options. And so oil prices really, really bullish right now. Brent crude surged 7%, which is around $74 right now. 70, I think Redman, you said 74.23, something like that.
$74.
Yeah, right prior to the stream. And so we also know that a lot of people are flocking to gold, right? So this whole year for gold has been just unbelievable, right? Last year was a good year for gold. So when this kind of turmoil, instability hits, we do see a uptick for the demand for gold. That's one of the reasons Lifer over in his stream yesterday jumped into Pax Gold, which is crypto gold, basically Pax Gold, blockchain, right? Tied to the peg to the gold price, basically. So lots going on as the war escalates, but the conflict caused 140 billion crypto market cap drop. And we were all part of that, right? You go check out your portfolio and you're like, what the heck is going on? I don't watch a lot of mainstream news. I pretty much consume all of my news through YouTube. And so, yeah, you do have some of these little, 2-minute clips that pop up. So I had to really figure out what was going on. Just like the riots, I didn't really even know that was happening because I don't really, consume a lot of, 6 o'clock news, 10 o'clock news type of thing. But we did have a big pullback with Ethereum, with Bitcoin, with all the alts. And as Big Colin's been saying, the alts are just getting crushed. Of course, you have all those dynamics at play. You have the Bitcoin dominance being a big part of that. You have the rush to safety. You have the mass adoption that's occurring this year and last year, which the people that just come into Bitcoin, hey, you have all this instability going on. Are they long-term diamond hand holders, or are they saying, hey, man, it dropped, I'm getting out? That helps fuel a sell-off. So just kick it around the horn. What do you think about the impact of the war, Jimmy Jim? What's your thoughts on the whole thing? And what are we going to see in the future with this?
I mean, traditionally, war's been good, right? I mean, for risk-off assets, and I see Bitcoin as being that. I pulled up a quick little chart. Let me see if I can pull this up. Is it that one? Share. Y'all getting that?
Yeah. Yep.
So I threw this together right before the show, and I've been actually checking prices through the show to make sure all of these dates and about where it plots out on the chart lands. And I mean, I don't know. What I see there is war's good for Bitcoin.
So that's Bitcoin versus gold during major geopolitical events from 2014 to 2025. And as you can see, wow. Okay. So over here at 2024, the date. So we're at 2025, 20,000 up to past 100,000. And that's Bitcoin versus gold. Gold is,
and you can argue that, there in February of 22, well, I mean, that was right before the downturn of all crypto, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was the bear market. So I'd say, just looking at this chart, war is good for Bitcoin.
Yeah, even look at where it says Russia invades Ukraine. I mean, it looks on that chart, gold is slightly moving up and to the right, but Bitcoin really pumped, and then it settled back down a little bit, and then it's, of course, it really cranked there in late 2024, early 2025. Yeah,
But I
I
don't
don't
think
know.
the war, the Russian invades Ukraine. I mean, and that wasn't the cause of the pullback. I mean, that was literally the end of the bull run.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't think that was an adverse effect to Bitcoin because of the war. I mean, this is just kind of plotting geopolitical events over the price action of Bitcoin.
Yeah. No, so what do you think? Do you think this thing's going to continue on? I mean, Redman, you had some like some updates on the actual what Iran was planning on doing, and won't you go into that a little bit?
Yeah, let me bring up this article here. So the big thing is, for me anyways, what I'm looking at is the Strait of Hormuz, right? And I don't know if you guys, yeah, I think you guys can see that.
Yeah, we got.
So the Strait of Hormuz is owned by Iran. Iran runs this thing. And if Iran were to shut it down, 21% of the world's oil runs through this strait. So we're going to see massive inflation everywhere as far as gas prices are concerned. If Iran is successful in shutting down this. Now, can Iran stand up to the United States? I highly doubt it. But if they're able to actually close this thing down for a considerable amount of time, it could have a pretty decent impact on the markets as far as inflation is concerned. So, and gas prices will skyrocket for a little bit until it can be controlled again by either the United States or whoever else is opposing this. So, but the only thing is that Iran does have China backing, so it could or could not be a problem. But this is one of the things that I'm looking at, that I'm watching very closely. My eye is on the price of oil, the price of gold. And so I know, Billy, earlier you had mentioned that gold is probably going to do pretty good in the next month, maybe. If this would be the time, like, to bring up that gold conversation, and risk assets like Bitcoin. Bitcoin and gold are probably going to do pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, so gold's been around forever, and for all the investment cycles, whether we're in recessions or wars, most people flock to gold during any type of instability. But without that, gold has done very, very well over the last year here, and I don't recall seeing this big of a run on gold. I mean, it probably has happened in my lifetime. I do recall it basically in 2005, and I don't have a chart from me, I'm going from memory, but around 2005, I want to say it was like $300 an ounce. And I did get a little piece of that action via the ETF, the gold ETF back in the day. But this run here that we've seen, even without the Iran crisis that's occurring now, gold's had a pretty good run. So you get into the whole question: is Bitcoin the digital gold, or isn't it? And you have a lot of different mindsets on that. For me personally, I answer that question: yes, it is. Now, if you talk to Peter Schiff, which we did at the show, of course, all of us, we got the chance to talk to him. And by the way, he had another X space that I went on, and we talked too. I don't know if I told you guys that we actually got on it. He actually accepted me as a speaker now that I met him, right? So it's starting to have a little bit of a conversation with him, but it's for him, it's not a digital gold, right? Bitcoin is not a digital gold. Bitcoin is going to ultimately fail in his mind. But I personally, I've always held gold. I always hold silver, the real McCoy, not the ETFs. And so I think you should always have a little bit of that. But if I'm putting new dollars in, I am trading Pax Gold right now. So I do have an open trade right now with Pax Gold. But I'm not really buying it like I am Bitcoin, right? So I'm buying Bitcoin for the future. but that's not a shill either way. I'm not shilling it, Bitcoin or gold in that regard. What I'm basically saying is, I think everybody should own a little bit of gold. I think you should have some little diversity into some precious metals, just as a good strategy. But the way I see this war unfolding is there's going to be a lot of pain. There's going to be a lot of pain, and we're going to feel some of that pain as it relates to what you're saying with the oil prices, which means gasoline prices, right? So gasoline prices going up. We've had a pretty good run of good gasoline prices. And I think with the economic climate, the way it is right now, a lot of people are, can't afford housing. They're in pain. A lot of people are in pain, barely scraping by as it is right now. And here we're going to have this oil price go up, which means gasoline prices going up. So I think it's not going to be good for everybody.
Yeah, there's another facet to this too, Billy, is that the Keystone pipeline, like we were talking before the show, is not up and operational. So if we do start having gas problems, I expect Trump to hit the easy button and go open that thing up and get that thing up and running. And that could take care of our gas issues. And that could also relieve some of the inflation. Now, these are all hypotheticals, but he does have that option. And it's not up and running right now, but he could get it up and running.
Yeah, well, that's a build out though. That's not going to be that's like flip a switch and everything's working, So but it would help, of course. I'm sure we're going to hear from Trump on that kind of thing here, in the near future, right? Like what we need to do. I'm sure he's going to get into all that. I'm sorry, I'm trying to read what here, Buck. Let's put this up on the. I'm having some connection. They can't cut off the shipping lanes. They can't even stop Israel from controlling their airspace. Last time they tried, they lost 70% of the naval forces in no time. Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, from a crypto impact, I was just looking at it and saying, what are we going to expect in the next week or two in crypto? We kind of know what to expect in the last leg of the cycle from a crypto perspective, but from now we have this little war, right? What can we expect? And I say pain. My answer is pain. We got to get this like under control, or we're going to have some economic pain that we just don't need right now, man. That's the way I look at it.
I feel like Bitcoin held up good. I feel like Bitcoin withstood this first test. I feel like alts did what they usually do. They bled out 15%. So, I mean, if you're holding alts, chances are you're not going to be in a good position. You're holding Bitcoin, you're probably going to be a little safer than holding alts right now.
And that's Jimmy's point, right? With your chart, Jimmy, is like look, just going on historical data, the wars or economic instability, what do they call it, geopolitical issues. It's been really good for Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, war is profitable. I mean, there's I'd be willing to bet, if we go to a full-fledged war, not that it hasn't been rising greatly, but like, was it Palantir? That stock is going to go through the roof. All these defense stocks are going to go through the roof.
They really did, though.
And off the backside of every war, there's pretty much been prosperity in the U.S. I mean, you look at the two Gulf Wars. A lot of companies made a lot of money and injected a lot of capital, into the economy, and people had a lot of money. Interest rates were low. I mean, not saying we're going to go to war. I think he's going to try to avoid it as much as possible, or at least us, having bloody, thumbprints on it. But I don't see them, blocking that strait. I mean, that's an afternoon's work for the Air Force and the Navy. I mean, if they block that off, I mean, we're going to get sucked into the war. And yeah, short term, be some pain, but again, I think in the long run, I mean, it's as messed up as it sounds, it's kind of a step in the right direction of getting things back on track.
No, yeah, and you're right. The energy stocks, and I think I heard DDT say something. Yeah, like ExxonMobil's already up 2.3%. ConocoPhillips up 2.4%. You're getting some defensive stocks. Lockheed Martin, Northrop.
Lockheed I saw that in one of my groups, kind of from TradFi friends. Lockheed had a nice store run up on Friday.
Yeah, and the defense stocks up 3%, and so aerospace, things like that. So that's the beautiful part of what we're talking about today is there's always opportunity and chaos. So like I started this little segment with, I know some people personally that did very well on those call options for oil, right? So when you're hearing these news segments, if you get into an investor mindset and you say to yourself, okay, what is going to do well? What's going to do well? And then you actually have it all set up. In other words, you can't just say, oh, this stock's going to do well, and then you don't have any money on that exchange, whether that's a Charles Schwab account or whatever account, Fidelity account. So when you get yourself in position that you can actually pull the trigger on some of this, no different than in the crypto market, right? You could think one particular narrative is going to play out, but if you don't have a way to participate in that, you're never going to be able to take advantage of some of these movements. That's why I jumped in that PAX Gold last night with Lifer. I was like, yeah, man, you got war. What does people normally do? They jump into the precious metals, gold in particular, and silver, right? So yeah, man, I think you're right, Jimmy, in that there's always opportunities during wars that you can make some moves on investment wise and be a winner, right? But there's also then the absolute pain of it economically, like with higher gas prices, or in other wars, higher food prices or things like that, for sure. All right, sorry, I was just trying to catch up with chat there to make sure we didn't have any questions. Well, let's move on. There's another great article that came out, because we're kind of a little bit of FUD here, right? War is a little bit of FUD. So keeping the FUD in mind, El Salvador. So, they went to the Bitcoin standard, right? So a couple of years ago, you could go to McDonald's and buy a cheeseburger with Bitcoin, right? The government really got behind the whole Bitcoin standard, and that's changed. And I don't know if the world knows that right now, but their remittances are down 45% for Q1 for year to date, and basically that policy shift is huge because we always pointed to that country, El Salvador, as look at the adoption that's occurring. So you have the president of the country really getting on board with it. He even came on a lot of talk shows and we're talking about even how well they did government wise by investing in Bitcoin, set up a policy buy program, but low adoption, difficulty with people understanding Bitcoin. They had 3 billion. Let's see, what's it say? Low adoption with only 0.52% of the 3 billion of the inflows that they have due to education gaps and infrastructure issues, preference for traditional channels, which basically means the fiat standard, right? So they have moved back, in essence, El Salvador to a fiat standard. And they were getting a lot of pressures from the IMF and other places, but it's not good. That's more crypto FUD, right? More Bitcoin FUD, because like I said, we pointed to them many times, at least I did in different conversations about the adoption. And then we hear that this reversal is absolutely taking place. What do you think about that, Redman? What you got on that?
So, first of all, I don't believe they did enough as far as teaching the public on how to use Bitcoin. First of all, this sounds like it was at the normal level, right? The regular citizen level, and not, because as far as I know, El Salvador bought way below that 100K mark, and so they're probably green on their wallet. But as far as using it in the normal everyday life, like they thought they could do, they failed in that fact. And so I just point to, it was a lack of education in the community itself, El Salvador. And so they weren't taught properly how to use it. And so nobody did. I think, what'd you say, 0.53% of the population actually used it? I mean, that's horrible. That's not even 1% of the population. So I felt that the government down there didn't educate like they should have. And people just, begged for fiat to come back. Plus, on top of that, they're trying to get money from the IMF, and the IMF said, "Hey, phooey on you, because you're using Bitcoin, and we're not going to give you any money until you stop using Bitcoin."
Yeah, did happen. That's one of the points, and also,
and they squeezed them. Yeah, they squeezed them.
They squeezed them, but the people that did learn how to use a crypto wallet, and the citizens over there, those folks even got a little disenfranchised with the price volatility, right? So, like, coming off a fiat standard, it's a stable coin, right? The dollar is a stable coin, basically, right? So it's a stable, and then you have this particular balance in your wallet, and then it goes up, and it goes up from 93,000 to 108,000, but then it goes down to and I guess that was a little shocker to the just normalization of using Bitcoin as a currency.
I don't know, Billy. Do you? Okay, so we're in crypto, right? We are the home of 60 and 70% price swings. Man, we're used to this stuff. You know what I mean?
We are. Yeah.
We laugh at, if it goes to 93,000, that's hilarious for us, because that just gives us a buying opportunity. Whereas people who are not used to that volatility, they feel like they're getting choked out, like they're losing all their money. For us, it's like another normal day in crypto, basically. So,
but I think it's also a big difference for us, because for us, we put what we can risk into crypto, into Bitcoin, right? So that volatility doesn't bother us on a daily day. If we put our rent in there on Friday, and then on Monday, whenever we're about to give it to the rent people, it's down 70%, we probably would have a bad taste in our mouth. So that's the battle that the Bitcoiners are having, right? Is it a store of value, or is it transactional, right?
It's
is
currency,
it something that you use? Is it currency? And it looks like, I mean, from what we're seeing on the main stage, that the store of value is what's going to win out for now.
And I 100%, I think it's a better store of value than it is using as legal tender. It just has never been efficient in that aspect.
Yeah, I agree too. I've been on the store of value wagon for a while. I just really, and it goes back to the whole digital gold. You don't use gold for transaction either, right? We got off the gold standard in the 70s. So, but even in the 70s, I was alive, right? I don't ever, there was, even though you had a gold standard, like you always had the coin, you always had the dollar. Yeah, you could cash it in back in there in those days and get equal value in gold, but they still used, a fiat. They still use the US dollar, right? So, yeah, to Dave's point, imagine if you had that rent and you go to pay and it's down, and it doesn't have to be 70%, even if it's down 20%, right? Or 10%. I mean, your rent's $1,500, and that's X in your Bitcoin wallet, and then you go to pay it 2 days later, and you only have $1,200. Well, until they figure that out, it's going to be very difficult to use as a currency, Bitcoin. So it is a little bit of FUD there, but it's, I think, reality, right? Just reality and truth.
Yeah.
DDT, did you have something on that? I didn't. Or Jimmy?
Yeah, I was just To me, I think I kind of side with Redman with kind of what he's saying, and like I probably even showed that when I was doing the charts. Bitcoin sneezed what 2%, 3% at most on from when like literally Friday morning, first thing on daily open when Asia came in, and it's literally just been ranging ever since. It's if it wasn't going to hold, it would not have held, right?
Yeah.
So, and even some, like I said, even some major alts, major market cap altcoins, they didn't really kind of drop all that much. I think, but also as well as kind of as a kind of practice for kind of future situations, if you can see this as a recurring thing where Bitcoin starts holding out a lot better when all these kind of uncertainties happen, then obviously you can kind of, it's confirmation bias basically saying that yes, it's actually starting to do what it's supposed to do. Or kind of one of its facets that it's supposed to do. It's supposed to be a store of value, hedge against inflation, and obviously now they're saying it's transactional, but kind of that rings true if it's not really getting affected. But also as well, kind of if you look at previous events, it used to do way worse. It used to drop a hell of a lot more than 3-4%. So for the most part, it's just it's held strong for now. But also as well, the volume, it's kind of weekend volume, and also as well, kind of looking at kind of what was happening price action. I thought something may have happened because generally Israel likes to get attacked on a Saturday on the Sabbath, so it's a general thing I noticed as well. Whenever anything happened, kind of, so I was expecting something to happen yesterday, and it was just nothing burger. Yes, they fired a few things at each other, but like not really a non-event, not really a non-event because obviously people's lives, right? Kind of you got to think about it in the humanistic view as well, but kind of from a charting view and kind of in the grand scheme of things, not really a major escalation just yet.
Yeah, and watching that, whatever they call that dome over the top of them, the way that their defense system is something. I mean, that's something so new that we've never seen anything like that. That's so radical,
Yeah,
that they're just catching them in the air. Like, yeah,
the,
that's
the
not getting in. That's not getting in.
the thing is as well, the defense system, obviously that Iron Dome, it's not that it does fail, but it does obviously won't be able to shoot everything down, and that's why obviously things did land in Tel Aviv and kind of on the outskirts north somewhere. I don't know the areas, but kind of they do get
It's like Shaq sitting there swatting the little kid's shots every time he shoots it.
Yeah, but I think also as well, the US kind of gets drawn into this because they supply all the kind of protection stuff for the Iron Dome. So everyone, like you'll hear everyone kind of shouting that the US is complicit in this whole thing, and that's kind of the opposition's or whatever kind of narrative now. Like US is already complicit. So too bad, so sad. But we'll just see how it goes. I don't think it's going. I think generally the consensus is world leaders and all of that will try, and even NATO, they're going to try and nip this thing quite quickly, hopefully. So,
Amen. A1, yeah. The whole valuing in Bitcoin, and we've had some of those different charts and discussions before here at BGT, which is like housing. If you value housing in Bitcoin, house prices actually stayed flat or went down over the last 15 years. But if you value them in dollars, it's inflation's killing you. So like changing everybody's mindset throughout the whole purchasing cycle is, to your point, A1, like the landlord that's charging that $1,500 rent, like he's willing to take it in value of Bitcoins versus dollars, because you just know that it's going to go up over the long term. So trying to get those paradigm shifts, those mindset shifts all across every level of the purchasing chain, the consumer chain is tough. It's tough. It's a big endeavor for sure. Did you have something, Jimmy, that you wanted to add to that?
Oh, no. I mean, I was going to refer to last Tuesday's X Space, where those guys were, trying to, become a currency. Now I'm blanking on the project. Who was that, Billy?
Quiet Quiet network.
Quai, yes, yep.
Yep, 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 yep.
And the challenge there is not the people holding it, right? I mean, it's not the people that want to spend the money, but it's getting the retailers, on
Yeah.
board. What is their incentive, to join or, into a crypto processing, type thing similar to credit cards? Is it less fees? Is it less this? I think that's something they should have articulated a little bit more on Tuesday, and it was one of those thoughts I had after the fact. Absorbing all the information they were putting out, and I was just, I never heard anything with regard to the retailers.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. Well, we have time for one more segment and then Jimmy's final thoughts. So let's Redman, let's go into the latest and the greatest on the Solana ETF news, because I know there's been some movement in that regard.
Yeah. So
And is this
the Solana
research?
the Solana ETF has intrigued me in a couple of different ways. First of all, it's intrigued me because of the SEC's involvement in it. And I still have yet to hear anything from them on their classification of securities, but I understand why they have a little bit of a tiff with these guys applying for the ETF. It's because we've always asked the question, where do those staking rewards come from? How do we get these high APR rates? How I mean, they just come out of thin air? And the answer to that is that pool of money is being invested in higher risks assets. So when it's being invested in higher risk assets, they're getting a higher return, and that return is coming down to the stakers, right? And so when you have a project that you're able to stake, you're basically saying that you're creating an investment contract, because you're saying that this contract is going to produce some kind of yield. So I think that's what their whole tiff with the Solana ETF is. That's what it sounds like from my research that I did. And so there's 7 filings right now. It's Fidelity, VanEck, Grayscale, 21 Shares, Franklin Templeton, Bitwise, and Canary Capital is what I have. Billy, I think that's the same ones that you had from earlier. And so it's not all crypto companies, right? There's TradFi in there, Franklin Templeton's there, VanEck's there, Grayscale, Fidelity. Love seeing this, and I love how enthused they are about bringing this about. I will say that I did reach out to a couple of people. I talked to James Safer, not the last Bitcoin conference, but the one before that in Nashville, and very interesting guy. Had a lot to say about how much is going to be putting into Bitcoin's ETF, and he was spot on for the most part. So I'd love to get him on the show. James, if you're out there, you're watching, come on the show and explain, ETFs to us. That'd be great, man. You can DM Billy. But
yeah, just to set up the whole Solana ETF. So yeah, you got the whole update of the S1s going on, so that they could add the whole staking to it, which it goes into a kind of like a topic we were going to try to get into, but I don't think we're going to have time. But basically, there's a lot of the old Gary Gensler policies that were going through the system that the current administration just nixed just last week. And with the nixing or withdrawal of some of those policies, it opens the door for a more crypto-friendly adoption, which allows these ETFs to allow staking to be amended on their S1s, and they're looking for an approval sometime in July. So, you're not going to just have an ETF like we have right now. Just think of the old gold ETF that, you buy the ETF instead of the physical gold, right? It's investment like normal, just like the Bitcoin ETF. You buy the paper instead of the actual Bitcoin in your wallet. Well, now to have that so that you can just buy that paper and also stake it and make some staking. That's what we're talking about with the Solana ETF. So it really changes the game for ETFs in general. And by getting rid of a lot of those old proposals that were under the Gary Gensler administration that they absolutely nixed. I mean, that's gone. They're gone now. It opens the door for a lot of these. I almost want to call them dynamic ETFs, almost like Ada Ace was talking about the SIP protocol that allows dynamic NFTs, because this is a game changer for ETFs in the legacy marketplace. But they said approval should be possible by mid-July, which is only about 5 weeks, with a 91% chance of approval, and potentially driving the Solana price up, right? So some of the predictions that they had in the article was $200 to $330 dollars. Now the Iran conflict sent Solana down 9.4%, but overall, good news. We've been talking about a lot of FUD in the last segments. This is good news for crypto. It's good news for Solana, and it's good news for just the whole ETF marketplace, which is really attracting a lot of legacy investors, boomers, Xers, because they're very familiar with ETFs and they're comfortable using those investment vehicles.
Yeah, because they don't have to self-custody crypto.
Exactly.
That's the big thing. That's the reason why they go this route, is because they don't want to have to touch seed phrases and do all these crazy other things that us crypto people love to do.
Well, if you think about it, and Jimmy, you'll like this, because you and I think a lot alike on this kind of stuff. But it's like, okay, you make a lot of gains during your crypto bull run, right? Okay, you make those gains, and then what are you going to do with those gains? So we've talked about people buy houses, they buy property, they buy gold, maybe some people invested in their business expansion. So you have to do something with those gains. And of course, you and I, Jimmy, talked about, you can stake it with USDC if you wanted to. Everybody has their own ideas, but now you have a ETF with like Solana that allows you to stake during those downturns. So like on one hand, I have my old DOT that I bought, but I staked it from almost day one. And I am making, almost 2 DOT a day. Now, that might not be a good example because the doggone thing's got to go up in value for it to be worth something, right? But let's just say that's Solana, right? So if you use the same thing with Solana and you park your money and you can stake it through an ETF, that might be a good place for some investors to park their money during a downturn.
Yeah, I mean, ETF didn't work out so great for Ethereum.
Not yet.
I don't know if we're going to see, similar on Solana. Is the price of Solana going to go down, upon that announcement that it's approved?
Good point.
I'd expect the ETH staking to be approved first. That's going to be kind of the precursor to all the other ETFs, if or when they get approved, also to be allowed staking, I think.
But I think that makes it attractive. It makes it a lot more attractive than just being a plain ETF. If it's a ETF that is earning around the clock because it's staking also, that's something I might take a look at. But I've had zero interest in ETFs up to this point, I have to say.
Yeah. I haven't jumped in on any of them. However, I have eyeballed them in my Schwab account. And I have kind of started thinking about, maybe buying mostly Bitcoin in that. But just so you guys know, so yeah, Ethereum exchange traded funds have been approved by the U.S. Securities Exchange Commission. The approval process unfolded already, right? So the ETFs approved 8 spot Ethereum ETFs are currently trading in the United States, managed by major firms like BlackRock, Fidelity, Grayscale. ProShares also received approval. So the big difference with these new rules that are going to, that's why they updated their S1s, is because you get staking. So you have an ETF naked the way they used to be, and then you have the new rules that allow ETFs that can be staked. And if you think about it, staking is a crypto game, right? It's not part of legacy, right? So if you had a CD, you put your money in the bank, it makes 2, 3, 4%. That's in essence staking, right? But we called that an interest-bearing instrument, right? So you made interest. In crypto, it's staking, right? So it's kind of a whole new dynamic for the legacy marketplace and ETFs, which I find just fascinating. The fact that we have such a crypto-friendly administration that, to get rid of some of those policies that were approved and agreed upon from the old administration, Gary Gensler day, to change those, get rid of them, and allow this is very interesting to me. It's good news all around, if you ask me. That's just my worthless
Good adoption news
teaching opinion.
for sure.
Yeah, good adoption news. So with that, we're almost at the end of the show. I see Jimmy. We always do Jimmy's final thoughts, but I did see the request, and it's totally up to Jimmy. Jim, he gets to push the button, but you guys kept saying open the club. Rocco's in here, so you're really going to be in trouble if you open the club.
Well, I'll let Rocco push the button since he was so eloquent and let me push the button.
Let's go.
Cologne, we blooded for one sound. Right now, not now. Baby, tonight. It's gonna make me feel when I tell it to my Lord. You already know. I will get it gonna with the money on my feet. She might get it poppin' on my way. I already know.
Not sure what's happening with that, but
Dave Digital.
I'm gonna have
I was just
nightmares
doing a little
about it.
dancing.
Oh man, I wish we could have the behind the scenes camera when that music comes on, because Dave just starts dancing like crazy. All right, Jim, Dave, cue it up, man.
What's up, folks? Today, I don't have a whole lot today. I know as soon as we finish up here, we'll shuffle everyone over to
Crypto coin mindset.
Crypto coin mindset. I was like crypto coin market cap. But we had a great conversation about risk this past week. We had some scheduling issues, so I ended up doing one from the office. But we had a good conversation about risk. And then this coming week, we're going to do one about personal finance and just dabble and have some open general conversations, not anything, real specific. And we're getting ready for the next card show. We've got one in 2 weeks. Today's the last day with the boy. I've had him for the last 3 weeks through the Bitcoin conference and the 2 weeks after. We're on the summer schedule, so he goes back to his mom's on Monday, and then I'll see him again in July. But we've got some one card show in between there. So I guess it won't be 2 weeks. I'll see him right before the end of that little stint with his mother. But we're looking forward to that. It's a 2-day show. Hopefully we'll make a few thousand, maybe 4 or 5, being it's a 2-day show. So we're looking forward to that. Get some of this crap out of my breakfast room area. I'm sure the people that live here at the house will love that. But yeah, man, that's about it.
A lot going on with the card scene. It sounds like, Jimmy. Did you tell the audience what you did on that last show? Like you did pretty well at that last show.
Yeah, the last one we walked, we didn't have tables, so I wasn't expecting to do a whole lot just because when you're walking, each table, you could be there 30 or 40 minutes going through what you have and what they're looking for and negotiating prices and whatnot. But we came home with like $5,000 for walking a show. That's great considering the first show we did where we had tables, we did about 3 or 4. A little bit different market at the 2 shows, but we've accumulated a whole bunch more, and really looking forward to getting back on the show scene. When me and the boy have a lot of fun, we'll be streaming it live on YouTube at our Space City Breaks YouTube channel, showing all the transactions and all the things we talk about, this, that, and the other. It's a lot of fun. So if y'all aren't doing anything here, not this coming weekend, but the weekend after, tune in. We'll be streaming all day.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. And that brings up one final thought. Guys, we are so close to hitting our 3,000 watch hours. We're less than 200 hours away. And as soon as we crack that, we hit 3,000, we get our emojis, which of course everyone knows our first emoji is going to be our WD-40 can for Rusty Bot. But if you guys think about it, and you like on a weekend, you turn on Billy Goat Tales, you just put it on mix, and you're going outside, you're going to be outside for 3 or 4 hours, let that thing run for us. That would so much help us get there. We really want these emojis to make our community fun. And we all know how much fun we have with some really good emojis. We're going to get creative with them. We're going to have fun. And of course, they're going to represent you, our community. That's the whole thing. We're going to have emojis for you guys. We want your emojis so we can communicate with each other that way. So if you think about it, turn on Billy Goat Tales, run that thing, because we got to get to that 3,000 hours. And with that said, everyone, thanks for sharing your Father's Day with us. We appreciate it. See you next Tuesday. Our X Space is going to be about how to manifestation. So how to manifest your goals, your dreams, how to manifest success. That's Tuesday at 9 p.m. on our Twitter X, Billy Goat Tales. We'd love to see you there. And until then, we'll see you next time, next Sunday on Billy Goat Tales.